Welcome to the first Sliver. As far as opening hand goes, yes, we'll keep on this one. I like it. We need to get a blue source at some point, but yeah, we can definitely make this work. We have Worldly Tutor, and we have OG Sliver Queen, which is always nice to have that in our opening hand. Hopefully we can get a few more Slivers on the battlefield, and then hopefully Anguish Unmaking will allow us to get rid of any sort of Planeswalkers our opponent might get down, depending on what we're playing against. But yes, welcome to the first Sliver. It's not the second Sliver, the third Sliver. It is the little 8-pound baby Jesus Sliver that doesn't even know a word yet, the very first one. So, Cascade. And then Sliver spells that you cast have Cascade. That's from, pretty sure it's from Step Brothers. So if you haven't seen that movie, you should go check it out. It's a good movie. It's been a long time since I've seen it. Playing gets a Loro, Mr. Lazy Boy Chair himself. So Loro, at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 2 life. Then whenever you gain life, you may pay 1 mana. If you do draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. Then at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if Loro is in the command zone, you gain 2 life. So there we go. There's that blue source. Let's go Savannah. And I think with them tapped out, let's go ahead and go for a Worldly Tutor. Let's get this popped out. And let's kind of see what sort of creature we want to go for. I think just to make sure we're good on mana, let's grab Mana with Sliver. So we're going to grab that one. That's going to go on top. That's going to be a great turn 2 play. It's going to make all of our Slivers be able to tap for mana and really just make it a lot easier for us to get a lot of these Slivers out of our hand. We did cover both commanders. It's officially free time. We can have some fun. I'm really excited about the first Sliver because one of my favorite things in Magic, if you haven't seen Yidris before, be sure to go to YouTube and type in Jolt Yidris or Yidris Jolt, and you can see the funness that is Cascade. It's a really fun mechanic, and the fact that they, when this Modern Horizons set came out, the last thing I was expecting was a brand new 5-color commander, Sliver commander, and then the fact that then all of our Sliver spells have Cascade, I was like, well, hey, that's a pretty cool little option. So this is actually the very first Sliver deck that I have ever built. So I'll be taking a few pointers here in a second. Let's go and lead off with Volcanic Island, and let's go for Mana with Sliver. So we're going to go get that Sliver down. At this point, we need to draw into something, whether it's Heroic Intervention or Teferi's Protection. We are playing against a Loros, and that is Esper color, so we do have to watch out for board wipes and things like that. So if we can, hopefully, if we can swarm the board with some Slivers, we'll be in a pretty good spot. And oh no, let's see what they're going. Vampiric Tutor, okay, that's fine. But yeah, this is my very first Sliver deck. I've never built a Sliver deck in my entire Magic history, so this is the very first one. And I figured if you're going to start making a Sliver deck, might as well start with the first Sliver. And here we are. But yeah, as far as the actual Sliver loadout for this deck, one of the things that we're trying to do is we're not necessarily trying to just go absolutely crazy. A lot of the things that I really wanted to incorporate into this deck is going to be a lot of stuff that give our creatures, whether it's flying, they give them menace, different things like that, first strike. I just kind of wanted to be a little bit more of an aggressive Sliver deck or something that's really in our opponent's face. Our opponent's going to go for Anguish Unmaking. That's perfectly fine. They're going to get rid of our Mana Dork. Hopefully we hit another colored source. And that, oh, there we go, Exotic Orchard. That's beautiful. So I guess at this point, let's go Wing Sliver. Let's have that enter the battlefield. I'm just going to lead off with Blood Crypt, have that enter. Not going to pay 2 life, and we'll kick it back over to our opponent. But yeah, as far as the Cascade element, there's nothing really too kind of weird in here. We're just looking to, let's say we have Telekinetic Sliver, which is a 4-mana Sliver, and then we can Cascade into one of our Haste Slivers, something like that. And also, this is the very first time that I'm actually playing with the deck too. So I'm trying to change up the way I kind of do some of my Commander videos. A lot of the times I used to, Ancient Tomb. Okay, that does not help us out with our 5-colored commanders, but I still like, yeah, let's go Plateau. Let's go and swing in with Wing Sliver. It's going to be a 1/1. And anytime I think about Slivers, I always think about the kid in my neighborhood that, and well, yeah, anything else, yeah, we'll go and pass the turn. But yeah, the kid in my neighborhood, so like he found out that I had Magic cards, and this is when I was in like 4th or 5th grade, and I bought Magic cards, but I didn't know how to play. This is the days of AOL. There's no Magic Online. There's no Magic Arena that you could go download to learn how to play. And so I just bought them because I thought they were cool. Let's see if we can't. So the opponent's got 3 cards in the hand, and I'll finish that story in a second. Yeah, I think I kind of like going for the first Sliver, because that way we have Sliver Queen to back up on. We have that colorless mana, we can make a few more Sliver tokens. I think I kind of like going for that. So let's go for the first Sliver. Okay, there we go. It's going to have Cascade, so let's see what we run into off of this Sliver. And that's it's a really nice effect, being able to have that out. Oh, yeah. Yes, definitely want to cast that. And we also, came across Leeching Sliver. I was like, man, I've got to get that in my deck. Just having some sort of aristocrat style Sliver felt really good. All right, so we're going to get that to stick. No counter spell. Let's go and swing him for 1/1 against our opponent. And then we're going to go and pass the turn over there. They're going to lose a life too. But yeah, the kid in the neighborhood, he found out that I had magic cards. And so I brought him over there one day, didn't know how to play. And we looked through my cards and he showed me his Sliver deck. And so anytime I think about Slivers, I think about him. So anyway, it's kind of fun to build it, and we're going to kick it back over to our opponent. But yeah, once we get down Sliver Queen next turn, one of the good options with Sliver Queen is the converted mana cost of this deck tops out at 5. So once we get down Sliver Queen, that's going to allow us to at least get that down. We're going to get the Cascade, and that also gives us the option to go for Ancient Tombs. We're going to have that tap down that 2 mana and end up with another colorless Sliver token on the battlefield. So at this point right now, if they don't go for a board wipe, because this would be a pretty good option for a board wipe, we're going to keep our fingers crossed that they don't have that. But yeah, as far as Slivers go, it's always been a tribe that I've just never really been drawn to it that much. One of my big things in Commander is I'm not a huge fan of 5-color decks because it just kind of feels like there's so much stuff that you can do. There's a lot of activities you can put into your deck, and it just feels like I don't have a clear direction to go with the deck sometimes. And so that's kind of why I've never really done Slivers on my channel. If you ever wonder why I've never done it, or at least a 5-colored Sliver deck, that's why. It's just kind of one of those. There's a few other tribes that I like. Oh, and then also as far as my release schedule with Commander decks, used to my old release schedule was I would do 3 gameplay videos and I would do a deck tech, and I would release a new deck every Friday. And so what I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to just kind of build new decks as I get an idea, and then just kind of jumping into that without, sometimes I don't have as much time as I'd like to practice with the deck, but I feel like it leads to some pretty good gameplay, it leads to some good board states, because what would happen is, let's go Ancient Tomb, in all my playtesting, I'd always end up getting some of the best videos, and when I'd go to record, then I wouldn't get a good video. So I'm just basically, just throw the deck together and then we just hop in there. So let's see if we hit off this Cascade off of Sliver Queen. This is pretty much going exactly how we want to see. Ooh, and then we run into Teferi's Protection off that Cascade. Yeah, we don't need to cast that, so we're okay. We want to get down Sliver Queen, so we're going to go Sliver Queen, and that still gives us 2 mana off of Ancient Tomb. And since we do have flying, we're just going to push past Mr. Allura over there in his Lazy Boy, and we're sitting really good in our hand. We have Vindicate, Anguish Unmaking. Let's go and push in. That's going to be 3 life loss from our opponent. It's definitely going to allow us to kind of get ahead of those Allura triggers. And, oh, it feels good to get those triggers going. So that's going to be 8, that's going to be 9 coming in the air, put them down to 21, or 20, excuse me. And then anything else, no, we're going to go and pass the turn over to our opponent. But yeah, as far as new deck goes, and also, one of the main reasons for that is that by me having new decks only released on Friday, it kind of bottlenecked a lot of my decks. A lot of the times when I was doing my channel, or I still am doing my channel, but a lot of the times when new decks would get suggested to me, I just simply didn't have time to get a lot of the decks out. So this way, I'm able to get 3 to 5 new decks out during a week, depending on how much time I get done during the weekend. So long story short, some of these gameplay videos, it's the first time I'm playing with the Commander. It may be a little clunky, kind of learning it. Like the first time I played with Urza, it was just so unnatural in me to be able to, oh, Wrath of God, that's a bummer. Yep, that's going to get it. Yeah, that's going to send it back. But we do at least have the option to go for the first Sliver back out of the command zone. That's at least going to be the Commander attacks with Ancient Tomb, and we still get a Cascade to kind of tag along with it. So we can still get some stuff done. So let's go for the first Sliver. All right, so let's see if we hit off this Cascade. Yeah, definitely go for that. It's going to be +2/+2, and then we'll just go ahead and crack Misty at this point. And we're going to go and grab a, let's see what we want to grab. I think we'll just go and grab a Temple Guard. And since we do have double white spells in the hand, we're going to have that come into play tapped, and then we'll go and pass the turn to our opponent. So fingers crossed they don't have another board wipe. We're at least looking at 9 coming across. If they do end up getting a Loro down, that's going to be 6. That's going to be 8 mana with the Commander attack. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So if they make the land drop, they will be able to get down a Loro. But thankfully, with the Loro being a 4/5, we can still push past them with it being a 7/7. Or we can even go for something like Vindicate or Anguish Unmaking to kind of get rid of whatever they... Curse of the Swine. We've had our Slivers turned into pigs, but these little piggy boys, they're going to swing across, so... Okay, so I'll kind of explain the piggy boy story here in a second. Let's see if we hit the land for the turn. Necrotic Sliver. Destroy target permanent. Okay. Kind of like that. Let's go and swing in with the boars. Yeah, let's do that. Well, we got some piggy boys that want to swing across. That's going to knock our opponent down to 20. And we might. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We've got 8 total mana. So that's going to be Necrotic Sliver. Do we want to try to keep our opponent off of getting down a Laurel so we can go actually Vindicate? Yeah, I think I like doing. Normally, I'm not a huge land destruction fan, but at this point right now, we really want to try to get rid of. Just want to keep our opponent off of Laurel so we can start swinging in with these piggy boys. So let's go. Let's go for that, and then let's also go for Necrotic Sliver. Have that enter the battlefield. There we go. Anything else, pass it over to our opponent. So I got a new dog. His name is Sturgill, and he's a blue healer. And one of the things that he really enjoys doing, he loves eating treats, and so that's why I kind of call him a little piggy boy. But one of the things that he also does is when he gets really excited, when he comes out of his crate, when I get him up in the morning, or if he just sees me and hasn't seen me for 5 minutes, he kind of makes this weird pig noise. And so I started calling him Piggy Boy. And so instead of calling him Mr. Sturgill, and also his name's Sturgill after Sturgill Simpson, the country singer, which is actually some really good music, so you should check it out. But anyway, so we see these boar tokens that are reminding me of my dog Sturgill, so really happy about that. Avacyn, Angel of Hope. Well, thankfully, we've got Anguish Unmaking. That's going to get rid of that. Luckily, it's not. If we'd use Vindicate, that would be the destruction, and they have indestructible. So that's going to be another way we can at least kind of push past that. So let's see what we draw into for the turn. It's going to be Command Tower. And we want to deal with Avacyn at this point right now. So let's go Anguish Unmaking on Avacyn. Let's go and push in for 6. It's going to knock them down to 15. We've got Sliver damage and Piggy damage if you're keeping score at home. And we'll go for Telekinetic Sliver. Okay, anything else, kick it back over to our opponent. So, we don't really want to sacrifice Necrotic Sliver just yet. We can sacrifice a destroy target permanent. If we can get a few more slivers on the battlefield that are a little bit low costed, we may start attacking some of our opponent's lands. But yeah, we'll kind of see what they get down. It's been a really good game back and forth so far. And hopefully we can, actually we do have enough mana after that command tower to go for the first sliver. So hopefully we cascade into some sort of a hasty option off sliver. That'll be really good for us. Now opponent's going to go for brainstorm. So let's see what they end up doing after this resolves. Oh, they're going to go for Hour of Revelation. Okay, destroy all non-land permanents. We still have the mana for first sliver, so let's see. Okay, so Bone Splitter Sliver. And I love the art on this. Look how good the art looks on that. Looks great. Let's go for the first sliver. That's going to put them down to 1 card left in hand. And, oh, that's a bummer. We can't... Yeah, we'll cast it, but it's not going to do anything. We're going to choose Sliver. There's no slivers on the battlefield. That would have been really nice earlier. All right, so we're going to have a 7/7 enter the battlefield, and anything else, kick it back over to our opponent. Now, with Bone Splitter Sliver, we can get that down next turn. That does turn our first sliver into a 9/7. That does put us at 16 total commander damage if we can swing in with the way being clear. So hopefully maybe we run into another sliver for next turn. But yeah, let's go back to old Piggy Boy. We lost the pig tokens, but my dog Sturgill, he's blue healer, and he was born in February, so I think he's about 15 or 16 weeks. And if you don't know, I have a cat. Uh-oh, got Grave Betrayal coming down. Named Dorothy, and so it's definitely been an adjustment because I had a dog in high school, but it's been a long time since I've had an actual dog. All right, so we run into Tropical Island. But anyway, they're getting along. It's going okay. Let's get Tropical Island down. There's a lot of times where she's being a little prissy with the dog, and then he's being a little feisty sometimes, so they have their fun. All right, so we're gonna go Bone Splitter, and it's gonna be Cascade. Let's see if we run into. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely going to cast that. We're going to take care of that Grave Betrayal. And then we'll cast Preordain too. Look at that. Oh, opponent's going to skip it up on that one. Okay, so that's going to get it. The sliver value is way too much. So with Harmonic Sliver, whenever we cast it, that's going to give us that nice cascading effect. So we're going to have Preordain, which is nice. But when it enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment. So that's going to be us getting rid of Grave Betrayal. And then that's probably the best sliver that we could have cascaded into. And then we also have Bone Splitter coming down next turn to make it a 7/7. Let's see what we would have... We'd have cascaded into Preordained Scry 2. We'd have put those probably on the bottom. Actually, we would have drawn into Brainstorm. There we go. We'd have been looking at Patriarch's Bidding pretty soon and a Belligerent Sliver, so that would have been some pretty good stuff. But pretty good showing for Sliver so far. And if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye. Welcome to the first Sliver. As far as opening hand goes, yes, we're going to keep on this one. I like it. We've got a good utility spell in Patriarch's Bidding. We've got a good card draw source, a Distant Melody once we get a few slivers on the ground, hopefully. And we do have a mana producing sliver. So this is a pretty good opening hand. I certainly like it. I guess... You know, let's go and lead off with Underground Sea, and let's go for Ponder. Let's see if we can't catch a few more lands off of this Ponder, and then we'll jump into our commanders. Sliver, Hive Lord, Homing Sliver, and then Cryptolith Right. I think at this point, we're going to put those on top in any order and then shuffle our library. There we go. Run into Essence Sliver. That's okay. And then anything else, kick it over to our opponent. So we are playing the first Sliver, not the second, third, fourth, or fifth. The very first one. Little 8-pound baby Jesus Sliver. Cascade. Silver spells you cast have Cascade. And play against a zombie, Lady of the Scroll. So hopefully we don't get buried in card advantage before we can get a few slivers on the battlefield. Tap and untap wizard you control, draw a card. Now if you've never played against a zombie, heads up in 1 versus 1 commander. It's not a lot of fun. Not one that, but hey, we're not going to run away from a zombie, but just giving you a heads up. You have high hopes for this game. Let's keep them just a little bit tempered as the game progresses. So let's go and crack Wooded Foothills. Yeah, it's just, man, you get wizards down. If you just don't have any answer for a zombie right then and there, it's just hard to do anything about it. So we do need to find a green source for Gem Hide Sliver. And we do have white in the hand. So you know what, let's just go and grab a Savannah. That'd be good. I'm going to grab a Savannah. Let's go for Gem Hide Sliver. If we don't hit the lane drop next turn, at least we do have Gem Hide Sliver. That's going to put us on Dark Steel, so we can get that down. There's be another mana producing thing that we can go for. And then anything else, we're going to kick it over to our opponent. So we did cover both commanders. It is officially free time. Let's have some fun. Now, as far as our hand, we do have Sliver Overlord. I did draw into that. We do have the 3 mana activation, so your library for a Sliver card, or we can gain control of Sliver. So unless our opponent's running Changelings, probably not going to be too much, but the fact that we do have that 3 mana tutor source, that is a really nice option to have. Counter target spell unless they pay X, and that is any spell, so we need to keep that in mind. And then we're running into Soul Ring. This could be some good mana. So let's go for Dark Steel. We're going to have Dark Steel enter the battlefield, and then we're going to go for Soul Ring off of Dark Steel. So that's really going to help us kind of push past on something like Patriarch's Bidding. It's going to allow us to get down Essence Sliver. Now, we do need to hit one more colored source to get the first Sliver, and that's going to allow us to get the Cascade option. I just got, well, depending on how I sequence the videos, I just got done recording a first Sliver video, and when you Cascade a Sliver, when you cast the first Sliver, and then you hit a Sliver spell, and then you cascade into another Sliver, oh man, that's some good magic right there. This is, I'm really enjoying this particular Sliver commander. And so opponent's going to go for Stony Brook, cost 1 less to cast. Yeah, that's fine. They are out of the range of Martyr or Frost, so that's at least going to be good for us. And then let's keep our fingers crossed for that colored source, because we do want to get down the first Sliver and just make it to where we can start getting some, let's see, Lava Belly Sliver. Enters the battlefield as 1 damage target player, Planeswalker, and you gain a life. So at this point, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We have 6 total mana. The only thing is we just don't have 5 colored sources to go for the first Sliver. We could try to go for Distant Melody. Actually, now that I think about it, let's go for Essence Sliver, and then Lava Belly Sliver. Yeah, I think I kind of like doing that. So let's go red, and then red and white. Oh no, excuse me, with Essence Sliver, that is a 4 mana. I was thinking it's 3 mana in my head for some reason. No, and yeah, we can't tap it down. So I think actually so if we had tapped down the Underground Sea, we could have tapped down Gem Hide Sliver, and that would have been just a little bit better. So that was a little bit of a misplay on my part. I knew we had the mana, but yeah, we just kind of goofed up on the not tapping down Sliver. Well, opponent's got foil, so they could be able to counter Lava Belly. Yeah, that's fine. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So that got countered. But yeah, that was a misplay on my part. Had we tapped down Underground Sea, and then we tapped down Gem Hide, that would have allowed us to get down Essence Sliver. But if they're going to be discard an island card, so they got rid of a island. Yeah, so they got rid of Island and Cyclonic Rift just to make that particular foil. So that I'll definitely make that trade in a heartbeat. And we run into Cryptolith Right. I still think we end up going Essence Sliver. Yeah, I kind of like that, because that's going to really open us up for the first Sliver for next turn. So let's go Essence Sliver. And if they want to counter this spell with Martyr of Frost, they certainly can. I actually don't mind them activating that. And then if they end up countering us on Cryptolith Right, that's fine too. So, okay, so they're going to make X equals 3. Yep. Nope, not going to pay for that. And then we'll go for Cryptolith Right. That's going to be green. And that way, if something does happen to Gem Hide Sliver, at least we have the option to have that extra mana source. And so they've, let's see what the reveal off of that was. So there's going to be Forbidden Their Hand. There's Urtime, and there's also Sphinx tutelage, so there's nothing else we need to do. Let's go and pass the turn. Let's go and get this popped out so we can get a closer look. So with Sphinx tutelage, whenever you draw a card, target opponent puts the top 2 cards of the library into the graveyard, which should be perfectly fine. We've got Patriarch's Bidding. That sounds pretty good to me. There's Urtai, 4-mana activation, counter target spell, and then Forbid. Counter target spell, they can buy it back. So at least need to keep that up because that is the last 3 cards in their hand. Now they did end up going for a zombie. And so, well, actually, now that I think about it, with Patriarch's Bidding, that's going to really put them on in a pretty good wizard spot. So we got to watch out for the Patriarch's Bidding. Yeah, and since we're still stuck on mana, I guess we just go for a Distant Melody. That's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to be Thran Dynamo. Yeah, because we just need to hit that last colored source pretty bad. That's going to be blue, then 1, 2, 3 off of Thran Dynamo. Not the best Distant Melody you're going to see out there, but desperate times call for desperate play. So we're going to go Distant Melody. We're definitely going to name Sliver. And Chromatic Lantern. Okay, well that kind of gets us somewhere. And then anything else, we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So once we get down Chromatic Lantern, next turn that will allow us to finally go for that Cascade option. Still puts us in a spot where we can go for Sliver Overlord. They only have 1 wizard in the graveyard with Martyr of Frost, and we've got 2 wizards in the, not wizards, but 2 Slivers in the graveyard. So that'll at least kind of make this Patriarch's Bidding just a little bit better. But you can definitely see where this is where it's really starting to take off with a zombie, where they just be able to tap down 2 wizards, get that 2 card draw. When you're playing mono blue counterspell deck, it's hard to keep up with sometimes. All right, opponent's going to go for Urtai, and that's going to leave up Forbid. So let's see if we can't kind of bait out something with Forbid, or if we just simply just hit the colored source. All right, quick Sliver. Okay, so we go Thran Dynamo. Yeah, let's go for that. So let's go for Chromatic Lantern. Let's see if we can't get this to stick. All right, that does stick. You know, let's go for Sliver Overlord, because we're just walking into a Forbid right now. I want to force them to go for that. So let's go Sliver Overlord. So that's going to put that on the stack. We'll see if they want to end up going for that Forbid. They have to get rid of 2 cards in their hand. We know one of them is Sphinx tutelage, so let's see if they want to go for that. And then next turn, that'll put us on going for the first Sliver to hopefully run into Cascade. Okay, opponent's going to go for Dissolve. That's going to send that into the graveyard. Now, at this point right now, and it's, you know, from the zombie player is going to be a good play. They're always going to leave up counter magic. If our spells keep getting countered, one of the ways that we can kind of get around that is by, once again, going for Patriarch's Bidding. We just have to keep playing into spells. Even if we're going to go for Patriarch's Bidding, we can try to go for the first Sliver. Send it to the graveyard, but at this point right now, with the activated ability, with them still having Forbid in the hand, they're going to have to tap out for something really big before it kind of feels safe for us to go for this Patriarch Bidding, because playing against mono blue, and you've got a 5-mana spell like that, that is just a huge target for a counter spell. So let's see what they get going for the turn. All right, so let's see, drawn to 3 visits. And that's going to give us an extra land on the... It's crazy that we're at turn 8 and we've only hit 2 lands at this point. I just now realized that. That's pretty bonkers. Do we want to try to go... Yeah, let's just go 3 visits at this point. If they want to go for the counter spell, they can. All right, so we do get that to stick. Let's get this popped out. Let's grab Stomping Ground. We're going to have that come into play tapped. And what we're going to try to do is maybe try to flash in Quick Sliver. At the end of our opponent's turn, that might draw on a counter spell potentially. Let's say that they finally kind of get something down. Quick Sliver might be a way that we can hopefully kind of maybe get a little bit of action out of our opponent's hand. Now, if you're playing against a mono blue opponent, it's not so bad at a multiplayer table, but especially 1 versus 1. What you want to do is, you know, turn after turn. Let's say that you get down a threat. You know, they counter it every single turn. Sometimes you just want to build stuff up to where you kind of create this weird little stack to where they're going to run out of mana, they're going to run out of counter spells. So by us kind of leaving up Quick Sliver and kind of forcing that our opponent's instep, we're forcing them to use a little bit of their mana when they're hoping to use it on our turn. So that's one of the ways you can play against mono blue, is by just kind of, you know, baiting out counter spells. That's one of the big things that you want to try to do is, you know, you make them use a counter spell on something that, you know, if it sticks on the battlefield, awesome, you get some good value. And if it doesn't stick, you got them to use a counter spell on that. So, but at this point right now, it's going to be hard for us to kind of bounce back from this. Let's try to flash in this Quick Sliver, because at this point, they can basically just, you're drawing 3 cards a turn, and it's just hard to do anything about that. So we're going to go Quick Sliver, flash this one in, and then we can cast... Sliver spells. This is the way it flash now. That will make a difference if it does stick on the battlefield. Okay, so they're going to go for Forbid, and they do cast it with buyback. And we run into Tropical Island. So I guess at this point we've got 1, 2, 3. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we actually have just enough mana for the first sliver. In fact, let's go and go for the first sliver. And then we're going to try to see if we can't sneak this Patriarch's Bidding in. That's what we're going to go for. Okay, so we're still going to get that Cascade. Let's see what we run into off of the first sliver with this Cascade option. And what we're going to do, if the first sliver does get countered, we're going to make it go to the graveyard, not the command zone. So that way we can bring it back. So they're going to counter the first sliver. We're going to send that to the graveyard. Let's see what we cascade into. Blur. Oh, yeah. That's exactly what we needed to see. Let's go for Patriarch's Bidding. Let's go 1, 2, 3. We're going to choose Sliver, and I'm sure our opponent's going to choose Wizard on this. Oh, look at that. All right, so we're going to have deal 1 damage to target player. There we go. Send that damage up top. Now, at this point, they did chunk Cyclonic Rift. At this point, we've won the game. I mean, not actually won the game, but like moral-wise, we've won the game to me, because they're probably going to be able to stop this onslaught. But this is beautiful. Always yield to this trigger. There's going to be some wonderful life gain from Essence Sliver. Now, what we can do is we can use Sliver Overlord to search our library for a Sliver card, but we simply just don't have the mana. And we can really push past our opponent on this one. So, you know, let's just go ahead and swing in. I kind of like going for this haste option. Okay, so we've got 9, we've got 19, we've got 21 coming across, and if they don't offer up any blocks, then we'll we'll at least be able to get in for a pretty good chunk of damage. Now, at this point, this is just one of those, you know, we've won in my book at this point. Being able to successfully go for Patriarch's Bidding after having a lot of stuff kind of countered like that is good in my playbook. So let's see how they decide to offer up blocks. Okay, so we're going to gain that life. Let's go and always yield to this Essence Sliver trigger. It's going to put them all the way down to 4, and then anything else we're going to go and pass the turn to our opponent. So at this point, we'll see what they have. You know, will have at least 7 mana, 8 mana if they make the land drop, more than likely with all the cards they have in the hand. We do have a 3 mana activation to go for with Sliver Overlord. So if they've got some sort of option to send everything back to our hand, we can at least recast it. And that's going to make it really hard for them to end up with enough counter spells to kind of stop what we've got going on. But you can see what tap an untapped wizard you control to its owner's hand. Galecaster Colossus. Okay. So that's going to be a lot of wizards that they can send back. But the thing is, once they send it back, we can keep getting that cascade off the first sliver. Let's go and make sure that the first sliver goes back to the command zone and not the graveyard. There we go. All right, so going to go back to the command zone. Let's go and go for the activation off Sliver Lord. And let's get this popped out. You know, let's go for Diffusion Sliver. I think that's going to be a good option for us. So we're going to grab Diffusion Sliver. That does allow us to flash that in and counter that ability. So I kind of like going for that. And then Worn Power Stone. So at this point, let's go and go for a Sliver activation. Search your library for a Sliver card. All right, so we're going to grab a Leeching Sliver. So let's try and get Leeching Sliver down. So whenever we attack, they're going to lose 1 life. And this might be able to, you know, help us kind of get a little bit of an edge in this matchup, because we're trying to play around this Galecaster Colossus. So we're going to have Cascade off this Sliver. This is going to be 1 damage. Now what we can do is we can actually go to swing in. Now that we have a Leeching Sliver on the battlefield, we can kind of force this issue of getting these extra slivers in our hand, casting them with Flash from Quick Sliver. And depending on what they end up going for, they're going to go for Pongify on Leeching Sliver. So let's go for the 3 mana activation. So we're going to flash in Diffusion Sliver. There we go. Put that on top. We're going to have that enter the battlefield. We get to cascade into another one off of Sliver, but there's not going to be anything for us to cascade into off that Gale Rider Sliver. And we probably could have sequenced this turn just a little bit differently. But, all right, so I'm going to go for sending the Sliver Overlord back to our hand. So let's go for the 3 mana. Let's grab Sidewinder Sliver. Let's go and cast that, because at this point, we're just trying to get an enter the battlefield cascade trigger. All right, opponent's going to scoop it up on this one. I think either way we've got it on this one, because they tapped out a bunch of wizards to send it back. We've got all these slivers entering the battlefield. We've also got the Leeching Sliver on the battlefield that whenever a creature attacks, Defeating a player loses 1 life. We have Lava Belly Sliver. It's going to have that nice end of the battlefield effect. And with our opponent sitting at 4, it's just going to be really hard for them to do anything. And then, even if they just keep sending everything back to the hand with Gale, Caster, Colossus, we can still push past our opponent's counter spells on this one. It's going to be really hard for them to stop that. So you can see where it wasn't looking good. Our opponent got off to some really good card advantage, but we were able to close it out with a ton of slivers. So, you enjoyed the video, enjoyed the slivers, like and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.